So, welcome to another episode of the Heart-Led Humanity. This is where we demonstrate what else is possible for the future of humanity when we live firstly from the heart before integrating with the head. And today we have some exceptionally inspiring ladies with me who are looking to bring in a totally new wave of positive energy into potentially the political arena, but I think it's more of a movement of what else is possible for the future of humanity. They call themselves the Love Party. And watch out every other political party that pretends to represent the people, because these ladies are making waves. And so we have with us today Julie Tasker, Lynn Irving, and Rachel Elno. So have I pronounced your surname correctly, Rachel? I don't know why.
It's Elnor. It's Elnor, but a lot of people do say Elno.
Right. I don't think I said either, so I apologise. So I'd like to welcome these three ladies who are from the more northern part of the country, which makes a change, to talk about their vision for the future of not just politics, because I think whilst they may fall into the category of a political party, this is more about how do we introduce a new energy into how society works, firstly maybe in the UK, and then spreading out beyond there, because everything is connected. So welcome. So I'd love to invite you, each of you, just to say a few words about what prompted you, what called you, what was the calling that meant that you actually stepped up into this brave arena of representing something totally different in the political field? Who would like to go first? I'm looking at Julie. Sorry, no, Lynn, go for it.
I can go first. I didn't want to go into politics. I'm very disdainful of it and looked at. I've stayed aloof, and after 2020, I started to realise that the people that I thought, they're better off in Westminster, out the way where they can't do any harm. I sort of realised that they could actually, and that I was letting myself be. I was letting these people have power over me. I was being controlled by people I didn't respect at all, and had no time for. So I tried to stay out of it for a very long time. But I was, because I was on this spiritual journey. I was really enjoying myself and going into energy work. I became an energy mentor and started to do a course. And one of the modules was come up with a business plan, and I had no interest whatsoever in creating any sort of business, so I made something up to do the exercise and decided I was going to be a party planner and do lots of fun things like YMCA marquees, balloons, we're all going to dance, we're all going to sing, and it's going to be brilliant. So I came up with this idea, and I was saying to the universe, okay, you can inspire me and all this, that and the other. And I started getting downloads at about 3 a.m. that turned out to be a manifesto, which I thought was possibly the darkest humour I'd ever come across. So I was, one of those moments where you go to the universe, what are you doing? What are you thinking? So I came up with this manifesto and stayed out for it for a long time. It just started to feel extremely uncomfortable doing nothing, and it became where it wasn't an option to do nothing anymore. And I thought, what's the most loving thing I can do? I want my kids to grow up in a happy, healthy, free world. So I need to get involved. I need to get involved. And I started to look around for a political party to join, and didn't really find one. Then I found a Freedom Alliance. I was with them for a little while and I learned a lot, but that didn't work out. It was I needed something different. So when I left, Rachel said, well, what about this? And I was thinking, well, yes, it's what I've written. It's what I've got on my manifesto that's been hidden and kept away. It's the party we want. Yes, we can have, co-leaders. We can do things very differently. We can be a completely different, new way of doing things. And we don't have to be political. We can work with people. We don't have to be partisan. We don't have to be We don't have to be unnecessarily competitive or trying to rubbish each other. We can actually work together. We can have 3 of us in, keeping each other on the high vibration, if you like.
Yes.
We can do heart-led. We can do it our way. We can do it completely differently. So yeah, it was Rachel brought me and Julie together. I think we would all come from Freedom Alliance and found that we needed this new way of doing things. So that's how I got here.
Fantastic. Very, very inspired, literally and actually in practice. You actually did it. Yes. So Rachel, would you like to follow on? You sound like you're the connector, and I know that you have a very strong business background or small business background and creativity based as well.
Yeah. So Caroline, I mean, I came from the whole of this shit show, shall we call it, very much from a business and corporate point of view, because I'd been in that world of business and big corporate, and I could see how these big corporate influencers had infiltrated politics, and I could see with the whole Great Reset that it was a global corporate hostile takeover bid. I recognized all the signs, and I was actually quite outraged at what was happening. And so that led me to speaking out. And I did a video, Rachel Speaks Out, which went viral and then was banned by both Facebook and YouTube.
So it must have been good.
Well, I know, and so I was outraged at that, but I knew that I was pretty close to the bone. And so I kind of made it my mission to really investigate and to look into this very deeply, and then answer the clarion call to get involved in politics through the Freedom Alliance. But kind of found that the structure of politics is very much reminiscent of a big corporate structure. And in fact, the system requires that. The Electoral Commission requires you to have a leader and a treasurer and a, nominating officer. So we really didn't want to replicate that big corporate structure. And essentially, why not have a flat structure, a party by the people, for the people? And that presents a challenge in terms of how to manage. And it's quite a good discipline, because it's like sociocracy. I mean, if you've done any community work, you'll know about sociocracy, which is how do you organize a group of people and ensure that all voices are heard, as well as making sure that things get done. So it's a very fascinating discipline, and also the respect to have to actually to ask your members and to engage everyone, because actually we know this so far from the members who've joined the Love Party, which is, by the way, stands for Liberation, Opportunity, Vitality, Empowerment. We are attracting just the most incredible resource in all of those members. There's some amazing people who signed up from all over the world, actually, or people well-wishers. Really? Under the rules and regulations, strictly speaking, you're not allowed to have overseas, funding, basically. Yes. But it's been incredible, and we've only been going a month. So
that's phenomenal.
What we're attracting has been amazing, and I'm so excited by it.
And I love the values that you state on your website under the liberty, opportunity, etc., because you really bring it to life. You ground it. You show what that actually means to the individual in practice. And it's so simple, yet so powerful and so all-encompassing. And then there's the manifesto that goes with it. And I think anybody who reads it, whether it's in its current format or its evolving format, as we spoke about earlier, will really resonate with what that means for them. So, I so applaud you all. It's such a powerful vision and courageous, very courageous thing to do, to step into, given the forces that are behind. Because talking about corporate takeovers, we know that Vanguard and BlackRock are really the owners of the world, essentially, in terms of their capitalization and the control that they have over governments globally. So for you to be standing up in this arena is, wow, I so take my hat off to you. So thank you, Rachel. Anything else you wanted to add to that before we ask Julie?
No, that's great. That's great.
fantastic. It's very, very encompassing. Julie,
Right. Well, I've always been a very community-based person. Even as a child, I was, and I was once described as the peacemaker when I was doing my first degree. I didn't even know that that's what they were sort of watching me for in this particular activity we were having to do. But afterwards, I thought, oh, I suppose that's where I am. And having been brought up with 2 brothers, 2 sisters, only 7 years between the lot of us, and I think that was the role I had then as archetypally. And so when things sort of happened in March 2020, someone that I know through the complementary therapies community contacted me directly and said, there's this Freedom Alliance party. She was putting herself forward as a candidate. How about you doing it? And I'd never thought of doing that sort of thing before, but I have had some involvement saving the local park that got me to understand about councils. And as a Shiatsu Society director and the UK representative, I got to know about some politics to do with that. And then as the vice president of Federation of Holistic Therapists, I got to know more about professional standards, authority regulation of health and social care. And because we don't kill people as complementary therapists, we only need policy regulation. And so I'm glad I'm part of that community. So anyway, I put myself forwards and literally could only be a paper candidate because we weren't allowed to deliver leaflets. She, as it happens, wasn't accepted as a candidate or didn't carry on with it. So I put myself forwards in 2 different parallel elections, learned a lot from that. And then a year or so later, I put myself forwards and did go delivering leaflets somewhere very local that I've been brought up and spent a lot of time near, and lovely community. And I learned a lot through that. But then I could just tell the energy of what was happening, something needed to change. And so then when Rachel rang me early in this year, and I knew straight away, this feels right. And I just went with my heart, and that's it.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, and what I love about this is that you're bringing back the heart into society, and each of you are living from the heart. So for me, with Heart-Led Humanity, it's about profiling role models, heart-led role models, and pioneers in this field, and you absolutely fit into that category. You know, to start off something completely new in the political arena. So what's the response that you're getting so far to the I know, Rachel, you mentioned that you've been having some amazing responses, but what are the initial responses or reactions to using the word love?
Varied. It's a bit,
as you'd expect. Yes,
it's Marmite. It's some really like it, and some are very some really don't. But I think the people who are coming to us just go, yes, you know, it's time for something. Let's not mess around anymore and pretend we're not in love. Let's go for it. Let's just do what is absolutely right. And of course, it's not just love, it's liberty, liberation, opportunity, vitality, and empowerment. So you've actually got quite some powerful values encompassed in that.
Yes.
And it all comes under the umbrella of love. And that's so I think the people that are coming are pretty much attracted by that name. But yes, we have had 1 or 2 say, oh, it's a bit, you know, it's far too soppy, feminine, you know, you need to be a bit more real. We go, no, we don't. We're going to create, this is our own reality. This is our reality. Welcome to it. You know?
Absolutely. But with any movement, you know, you'll have the polarization, the people that are ready for it and the people that aren't as yet. Sorry, Julie, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I mentioned to a 17-year-old male very recently, and I just said, liberation, opportunity, vitality, empowerment. He immediately said love. And I thought, wow. And I've been talking to him about, we really want to connect with him and people his age and younger and older, as what do they need in their local community? And so I'm empowering him to really be part of that, even from a young age, but not in a political, way, just in a, right, we need to support each other. What can we do to help with that? And he knows about me supporting this local park to not be built on and not be closed. And interestingly, a bit of time ago, he'd actually done an amusing picture himself of it for sale. And so I mentioned that to him, and he sort of giggled and like, yeah, well, you know, and he knows I care about it. And I think having our discussions helps him to realise this is what a community needs to be. And you can see the maturity coming through as you have those proper and engaging conversations.
Yeah.
So just to say, Caroline, on the sort of, because I'm very much from a business marketing point of view, and the thing that I could really see through being involved with the Freedom Alliance, who were putting up candidates for by-elections, and the turnout was just so low. And the last one in December in Stretford and Urmston, which is a suburb of Manchester, the 74.2% of the electorate, and that's people who are registered to vote, didn't even go to the polling station. And so from a marketing point of view, I realized, oh my goodness,
the gap in the market.
That is the place to really engage all of those people who think politics is boring, it's too serious, we're never going to make a difference, our vote doesn't count. And so the Love Party branding and that name and the pattern interrupt of it, because it's different.
It is.
To see that on a ballot paper, or it's to me, it is actually a very powerful pattern interrupt. And from a marketing point of view, I mean, Lynn came up with that name because we were thinking of names, and she said, how about acronyms? What about liberation, opportunity, vitality, empowerment, love? And I'm just like, yes. I could feel this massive expansion, expansion.
Yes.
And I knew it was the perfect name, and just to get that. And so this is the interesting thing that I've noticed about the reaction, is that it gives people an instant yes, a full body heart yes.
Yeah.
But then the mind kicks in and says, oh, isn't that Love Party? Isn't that a bit gay? Or will I be taken seriously? So it's like interesting how the heart says yes, and then the mind tries to close it down. And so this is the thing, because there is a lot of mind control programming and psyops that have been played out. And so unplugging, this is a big part of liberation. That first value is liberating ourselves from all of this mind control, all of these mind programs which have been embedded in us since childhood through the education system, you know, and through the media and through the government control mind. Sage. Number one liberation. The whole sage. It's been military grade psyop, and so liberating people from that mind control is super important. And you do that through pattern interrupting. Breaking the spell, basically.
NLP, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was one of the phrases that I use is that we worship at the altar of the brain. So everything in society, from education to the way our organizations work, to the way our cities are structured, everything is very linear and rational and logical and functional. And we've been taught to fear, or at least be very disrespectful of the heart, because we're taught that it's frivolous, that it undermines us, we can't trust it. So when everything that we're taught is through that filter of the brain, as soon as you start saying to somebody, well, what do you feel about this? They go to, well, I think, no, what do you feel? Not what do you think? And our language reflects it. Yes, Julie, what comes up for you?
Well, interestingly, when I first got to be in a group with Rachel, I loved the way she used the word love, L-O-V-E, when she finished any of her messages. And this is way before we were even doing the Love Party. But also what came to mind was when I was teaching in a primary school, I had to teach in religious studies about important people. And I was supposed to be teaching about the Pope and about the Queen. And I sat there with these 7-year-olds and I said, right, we're doing about important people. Who is the most important person? And I let them give their responses. And I said, well, actually, it's you, because without you, nobody else exists anyway. And I'd love to know the impact that that sort of approach to my teaching has had on those people that carried on. And there was also, I did a bit of private tutoring for a while, and I was doing some GCSE maths teaching with this male. And the first session I did with him, somehow we got talking about how he was in class, and he was quite disruptive. And so I just sort of talked to him about, what do you think the teacher thinks when you're doing that, and blah, blah. And then before I knew what was happening, within a week, a friend of mine who knew this boy, her daughter had told her, oh, he was putting his hand up. And he'd never done that before. Mm-hmm. And that was really the only thing different that had happened in his life. And wow. It helped him to realise how he could be part of that community. Okay, he might have some challenges with learning maths, but if he didn't disrupt, he could actually learn more.
Yeah, how powerful is that? It's like opening a chink in the armour, isn't it, really? And as soon as you opened a chink, then there's a little bit more space for a bit more light to get through. Because one of the things that I've always noticed is that, you know, we try and fit people into boxes as to what, if you look at society and look at how do we reward people who work in the left-brained, the head-based professions. So the professions, doctor, dentist, lawyer, solicitor, technology, you know, all the things that we revere because it comes from the brain and the intellect, and we pay them megabucks. But then you look at all the caring professions, the professions, all the people that hold us together as a glue in society, from the familial, you know, grandmother to a grandchild, to caretakers in the kindergarten, to care homes, to hospitals. And we devalue them and we pay them a pittance because we don't value that those qualities. So it's so reflected in what's happening in society. And I think
just the pay as well, because a lot of them are on working conditions that they can't predict.
The whole thing is undervalued, isn't it?
It seems to be deliberately to stop them being sociable and being able to be sociable. And that's what we definitely need to change. And if we don't have our bins emptied, then, you know, we should know after the last 3 years, supposedly with all this potential infection, that actually we won't survive anyway. And so we need to value everybody equally.
Yeah, yeah. So go on, Lynn. Yes.
If we were just talking about the head versus the heart, really, weren't we? And saying how I think personally, and I'm coming from the head, but also from the heart, as we moved away from the heart and towards the head, I think we've, even over the time that I've been alive, it's become less beautiful, less sociable, less fun, you know. So all these things that have, as we've got more rational and we've respected, we've become more and more expert in less and less, and more reliant on experts.
Narrowing in, aren't we?
And we've become so less creative. Our architecture, in my opinion, I'm going to put myself out there, I think is appalling. And I go down to London or something and see huge, inspirational, wonderful, decorative buildings. And yes, they were done by men, but they were done with creativity and workmanship and craftsmanship. And then put them next to the ones that are, you know, metal, glass, you know, cladding and all the rest of it, and just go, really?
Yeah,
that's to inspire you, and you came up with that. So just, and also as we've got much more heady, people aren't dancing, they're not singing. These are free ways of raising our vibration, and in my opinion, this is a deliberate thing, because as you raise your vibration, you're obviously much more powerful. When you come from love and you're not in fear, it's much harder to control you. So these things have become, through the media, through television programs, things like that, laughing, singing, dancing, expressing joy in so many ways has become so crushed. Even at parties now, You don't. I mean,
sorry.
Exactly. I mean, men were always rubbish at dancing anyway. When I was a kid, dad dancing was terrible, and you'd have some bloke stood there twizzling a woman while she did all the dancing. But now they just don't at all. And a lot of times they'll just stand and drink. Yeah. They're so scared to look silly or make a fool of themselves. That's not everybody, but mostly it is. And so I have this thing that we need to get back dancing. It's a free way of raising our vibration. We need to start singing. I run a choir myself. That was because there was no communal singing. That had all gone down. Excellent. And yeah. So all these things that raise a vibration. I'm the first in New Year singing raucous rugby songs or whatever, because it's just so much fun.
Politically incorrect, I hope. Sorry.
Of course, absolutely, and insulting to everybody, because that's what we do. And so all brilliant fun. And I think, the more we do that, it's actually an act of rebellion now.
Yeah,
it's actually an act of rebellion, because raising your vibration is exactly the opposite of what they want. But it's also just so good for us. We can create so much more when we come from this higher vibration and from the heart, and let the head go a little bit.
Absolutely. Yes, Rachel.
Can I just say something on this which deeply concerns me, and that is my observation of how everything is going digital into this kind of yes/no world, which has no heart or soul. And this is a huge danger, because we see the 5G towers going up, and we know that as soon as that coverage is good enough, they will bring in the Internet of Things, and we'll be dealing, it's already happening, but increasingly we'll be dealing with just machines.
Yes.
And supermarkets, which are just machines with facial ID. And there's a huge danger for humanity, because whoever programs those robots or machines, it's heartless. It's kind of computer says no. And if the computer says no, you won't be able to buy your meat or your veg or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Or you won't be able to travel. So this is the big danger that we are facing. And that's one of the big things about this empowerment to restore common law rights, the power of the people. And we cannot allow machines to take over. We've seen it in the sci-fi movies. But it is very, very dangerous, the path that humanity's on, that digital everything is the answer, and it's the holy grail, and it absolutely isn't. It's the most dangerous path that humanity has ever.
I absolutely agree, because with my heart-led humanity, I talk about this being a pivotal choice point for humanity. Which route do we choose? The organic, natural ascension path, where we embrace our connection with the earth and everything that's natural and organic, and even our unexplored DNA, which they're now trying to exploit technologically, as it can hold so much data. Or do we embrace a synthetic, artificial, technocratic route, which takes us towards the transhumanism, no gender? We're all linked up by AI, sentient AI run as a collective.
It's quite a satanic nightmare.
Yeah. And we're well down that route. People don't realise. Sorry, did Julie want to have a quick word before Lynn comes back in again?
Yes, I was reflecting on this digitalisation this morning, and I've realised that actually they've been doing stuff with stopping us buying things basically for quite a few years now. And I've had times that, to protect you, we thought we'd better just check, is it really you that's doing that? And no, you can't take all that cash out. I know it's in your bank account, but you can't take it all out today. And you'll have to plan it and bring all your ID and all that lot. And they're doing so much that they're trying to say is to protect us, like the CCTV as well that they're wanting to bring in. Now, I know from years ago when CCTV was first coming out that gangs were sent deliberately to different communities to cause problems, and then the local people were asking for CCTV. And I've even had some discussion with someone today about that. And this is what is so wrong. And yet I know I got a full facial, full frontal of someone who tried to break into my bungalow. And the police, all they did was gave me a crime number, and that was the end of it. And so I know this is not for those reasons. and I know I'm not the only person that's had that happen.
Yeah.
And so we need to realize, when I was a child, we didn't have to lock doors. Now we're in so much fear, and we've got burglar alarms that are set off by spiders and things like that, and oh, everybody's in fear. Well, actually no. And I also know someone who literally years ago, they were being burgled, they weren't in, and a neighbour had seen that all the curtains were closed, knowing that they were away, and they never went round to do anything, whereas I would be straight there.
Yeah.
All they did was actually, they hid themselves behind a settee. Well, that's not going to help people, is it?
No, the antithesis of community. Yes.
Yeah, this is what people are, this is the fear that people are in, that they, that, and I think it's quite deliberate to try and keep you in your box, in your own home, happy with your zombie box, your TV, and stuff delivered to your door. That which you're
behind, yes. So you're away from one another.
So because that's how it's going. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be that way, and we have people joining us. I mean, just the other day, I got this lovely letter from a lady who is running a food cooperative in Devon, and she's telling people, just go ahead and do it. Don't wait for permission from authorities or people like that. Go ahead and do it. So they've got their polytunnels, they're producing their food, they've got all sorts of stuff going on, and this is brilliant. This is exactly what we need to do, because that takes the power back.
Yes.
We can do things for ourselves, but people feel so helpless. And my own husband, this is a real bugbear of mine, so I'm sorry if I mention it again, bought a book on chopping wood. You don't need permission from an expert to chop wood, because Stone-Age man used to do it, and not only that, they managed to make an axe.
It's following the rules, isn't it?
You paid about
instructions.
I know. So it's like, you can stack wood.
Trained to do things. Yeah,
I know. And so people are very scared to trust their own
instinct,
their own abilities, their own instincts. But I just couldn't believe this chopping wood. I was like, surely, you lift the axe,
you make him send it
down. If you feel pain in your leg, you've got it wrong. It was that simple. But I just find that with everything, they keep relying on experts, keep waiting for permission. No, it's not. That's not it. You have the permission, get on and do it. You have the abilities, go and find out how to do it. But they're so, now it's more like, I don't do anything until I've got permission to do it. Oh.
Yes, and it's been this drip insidious training.
It's been a lot of training.
You can't do that over generations, gradually, because if it happened really quickly, everybody would have noticed it. But because it's been very generational and very gradual, people have been gradually disempowered from thinking for themselves, and critical thinking is no longer encouraged, as I understand it, in the education system.
It's been health and safety, legal, worried about being sued, and then worried about breaking some flipping council regulation or whatever. No, we are.
And the science tells us, science only gives us one answer, so we all must agree with it.
I'm a scientist and I love it, but obviously the science that we're getting at the minute is not science as I know it. It's pretty much a dogma of the religious type. So it's Rockefeller religious dogma, in my opinion. So the science that I love is the science that's telling us how, I love quantum, I love Tesla's work, energy is, everything is understood if you understand energy, frequency and vibration. I love the quantum physics and the subquantum physics, which explains so much. In that world, science and spirituality have met, which is the most exciting. We're right there. It means we can change things like that. We can make ourselves healthy, we can heal, we can use our heart to connect into everything else. It's an incredible world even time is manipulable. In that world, it's amazing.
Multidimensional.
So when we go into that science, which is very underfunded but is absolutely incredible, and the maths works, everything about it works really well, it's the limits are just taken away. Things can change so quickly, whereas we're kept in Newtonian physics, and Newton was very a very wonderful man, a genius of his time and all the rest of it. But the physics now keeps us trapped. It's used to we need to they have to obey these laws. Not much obeys Newton's laws. Water doesn't, blood doesn't, you know. So
but apart from that,
these are quite big things. Don't obey Newton's laws.
Yes.
So we need to look at other things. That it's out of date. It does its job. It helps us to build buildings and things like that. But there's other ways, and there's a lot more we can do when we look at the actual physics. And I love how at the moment we've got so much energy coming in from space. We're, you know, from the sun, which is having these amazing flares at the moment. You've probably seen on the news the aurora borealis being able to be seen at Glastonbury, places like that. Huge amounts of energy. The Earth's magnetic shield is very low, so that's coming in, going through an area of space we only go through every 12,000 or so years. These are pretty evolutionary times. I think humanity, I have high hopes that humanity is actually up leveling in a big way.
Yes,
all of life might be. I mean, of course, it could cause a mass extinction as well, but let's focus on the positive.
That's when you come back to reincarnation.
That's right. We'll go somewhere. We'll go somewhere. You know, and we're energy, aren't we? We're energy. So we can't be created or destroyed. And that's a very basic law of conservation. We're not created or destroyed. We are energy. It'll go somewhere when we die. So Absolutely. Let's not panic about the mass extinction at this point.
Yeah. And what I love about the fact of the heart and the positive emotions is the fact that when we feel good, and emphasis on the feeling, our immune system improves, our resilience to external circumstances improves, we're more tolerant of things going on around us, we learn better, we have better relationships with other people, and the benefits just go on and on and on. But when we're in fear, of course, we're in that fight and flight mode where all the thinking capacity, our blood rushes from our brain to our vital organs as if we're just, you know, we're in we're just in survival mode. So that's when people want to hand over their responsibility for survival to somebody else. So if we're constantly kept with all these particular dramas and crises, then the average person who may not be aware of their capacity to control their own emotions and the power of their heart and how they can choose to feel better and what they can do to do that, and haven't been given these abilities or understandings, or disconnected from their communities or families, then they're at a huge disadvantage. So what I so love about what you're all doing is you bringing all your valuable life perspectives, and every single person, in my understanding, has an incredible, unique life perspective that we often don't appreciate because we're in it. And it's only people external to us who see the immense value of who we are and what we bring. And bringing that all together in a way that will be there to educate, support, and enable people to live a new way under your new love banner. You know, I think it's phenomenal, and I was so inspired to see what you were doing, and to witness that original. For those people who aren't aware of the UK column, your original interview that I saw was with them, and it was just eye-opening and heart-opening and very heartwarming. So I really want to extend such a huge congratulations to all of you for your bravery, courage, and vitality, and liberation capacities, etc., because it's just what the world needs right now. And everything starts with one small step.
It does. It starts with one, you know, with the self, with the individual. If we get our role right, and we do this empowering and liberating of people, we won't need a seat in Parliament. Parliament will be obsolete because they'll all be doing it for themselves.
It's grassroots up, isn't it?
We do not, if anything, Parliament will become this small administration unit that deals with the fiddly bits, you know, that nobody wants to worry about. It won't need taxes, it won't need anything. It's a tiny little admin unit because we're doing stuff for ourselves. We heal ourselves, we feed ourselves. We're energy self-sufficient. I mean, there are so many patents out there that have been suppressed over many years for the purposes of keeping corporations very rich.
Yep.
So I'm really looking forward to those being released, and for us to see these life-enhancing developments, I think, that will take us all up to the next level. I think it's completely possible that we can all be energy self-sufficient, energy independent, food independent.
Yes.
We can have good, clean water without being on a grid. We can probably, I'm sure communications can be enhanced, so we don't have to have waves of destruction around us, so we can have life enhancing waves. We can communicate and enhance our energy at the same time. Wouldn't that be amazing? We were talking about street lighting the other day, about how that flickers. The new LEDs have a flicker that is a bit interrupting to the brain patterns, and is not a terribly healthy thing. And I'm pretty sure that in some of those patents there will be a beautiful ambient light that can enhance the energy as well as provide a glow for us to walk down our streets. So I'm pretty sure it's all doable, it's all out there, and it's liberating those.
It starts with us, doesn't it?
Liberating.
I always come back to the phrase by Gandhi that if we want to have peace within the world, we need to have peace within ourselves first. So so are there any final thoughts? Would you each like to offer some last moment words of sharing? I was going to say wisdom, but I don't want to put the pressure on.
So if I come in there, complementary therapists, I'm really glad that I've become a complementary therapist and teach it as well. But also I'm a patient and public voice with the NHS, and I'm staying in there because I've helped people even through all of this, even someone who was having his sort of operation stalled and things like that. But it amazes me how they still won't accept complementary therapies. And then I'm sort of given accused of, oh, well, the clinical. And I know when I speak to people about taking flower essences or anything, homeopathy, but what will that do with my pharmaceuticals? And it's like, well, you eat, you drink, in everyday life, because otherwise you would be dead. And so you are taking in things that will interact with all of those pharmaceuticals anyway, and quite often people end up taking pharmaceuticals to offset the side effects, and they seem to allow that, and that doesn't matter, even though they can't necessarily always function very well. So the more we can get out there and realize that healthcare, we as complementary therapists are about empowering people. It's not to get over reliance on us, but to help people to understand themselves. And I've literally worked with one person who was having problems getting pregnant, did some shiatsu with her, and she said, oh, that was quite sort of intimate, even though it wasn't. She was fully clothed, and I really didn't work intimately at all. Next time I met her, she was pregnant. And it was just, she wasn't used to that close touch of someone touching her. And no, I love the sort of making eye contact with people and smiling in a respectful way, not but just nice. And that's what we need. And you don't know whose life you've improved or even
saved. I make a point of doing that. It's a lost art, isn't it? Eye contact. People avoid eye contact now, smiling and saying hello. Wonderful. Thank you, Julie. That's what a wonderful testimony to to yourself and complementary therapists. Thank you.
But shall I go next?
Yes.
My final words.
Jump in.
Well, I just want people to know basically how much they can do. So even if you're just growing microgreens on your windowsill, or if you're keeping chickens, I love chickens because they make you feel so self-sufficient and they're so funny. So anything like that, anything that you can do is just brilliant, because it brings the power back to you, and it brings the power back to your community as well. It's, what you're doing has a ripple effect. And as I was, even today, I was listening to Joe Vitale as a sort of wake-up call, and he was talking about 19 studies that had been done about meditation, and groups of people meditating in an area had reduced the crime rate. Now, I'm assuming that these people weren't the criminals being kept out of trouble by meditating. These people were normal, good citizens who were just meditating, transcendental meditation, and their calmness, this energy raising and calm that they were bringing in, the peace, was rippling out and reducing the crime rate in the area. So reducing the rates of violence and things like that. These are important studies. We need to know about these. These, how our energy affects everybody else. So I think it's important that people are aware of that, because they tend to think they're in their own little bubble and they're not affecting anyone. And to be honest, if they're in fear, they're probably not having much of an effect because it's not very powerful. But even so, if you just expand your energy and go into love and get yourself self-sufficient and start to feel empowered, you do empower everybody. You know, that's what
and you're adding to the quantum field, aren't you? Mass consciousness.
Exactly. Adding to mass
don't realize how
raising the energy of the whole, and
everything's connected. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Lynn. Rachel.
Yeah, so I would just like to say how important it is that these concepts and this heart-based way of being, it's so important that we do bring that into politics and things like local councils and the mainstream government. We've got the local council elections coming up on the 4th of May. And so I would really encourage anyone who's watching this who feels inspired, feels an expansion around this, to, even if you've never been involved in politics before, to become a member and to stand as a local councillor. It's not actually that difficult to get elected. And so, you know, it may not be that we have absolute power on those councils, but certainly what it means is there's a voice in those councils which can pattern interrupt, which can question, which can start to loosen the grip of the old way of doing things and to open minds and open hearts to a different way of being. So anyone watching this, if you feel inspired, please do consider standing for local councils. You can do it independently, but it seems to me it's much more fun to do it with support of a group.
Absolutely.
And so just, you know, please do come and have a look at the love-party.co.uk website and join as a member, and then you can become a candidate and we will support you in those 4th of May elections coming up. It's a very important, because there is a big 15-minute city agenda being bulldozed through. 100 local councils are signed up for that. And as I said earlier about AI and digital everything, it's so important that we throw a spanner in the works of this bulldozer which is coming through. And that's the way we do it, to have a voice in those chambers.
Absolutely, I noted that on your website. So yeah, so it's love-party.co.uk, and I will include all those details in the notes below the video when it is posted for people to have another reference to. And so thank you. I just want to applaud you all once more as pioneering role models, what I call transformative pioneers. So much needed at this time in the world. So congratulations to you all, and so much heartfelt love to you back, and looking forward to keeping in touch with you and witnessing the amazing transformative shifts that will come from this, because this has to be the beginning of a tsunami wave that is much needed across the planet, and you're doing it. So kudos to you. It's fantastic. Well done. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you.
Caroline.
Thank you.
Lots of love.